The whole tennis community froze, blinked, and asked the identical question in under 58 minutes. Did that actually just occur? Alex Eala did more than just defeat Coco Gauff. From the first serve to the last forehand that touched the baseline, she demolished her. This was not a chaotic or fortunate upheaval. It was intentional, cool, and under control. The audience erupted because they were witnessing history being rewritten in real time, not because they anticipated drama. Fans, analysts, and even Gauff herself entered the arena with the assumption that the screenplay had already been written. Instead, they saw a new writer pick up the pen. The energy seemed different right away, sharper, colder, and electrifying. Eala wasn't merely engaging in tennis. One accurate blow at a time, she was delivering her message. There was silence prior to the eruption. The uneasy silence that permeates the air before anything breaks, not the polite sort. Coco Gauff, the face of contemporary tennis, a Grand Slam winner, a crowd favorite, and a representation of the future of sports, stood on one side of the net as she always had. Alex Eala, on the other hand, was composed and unreadable, undervalued by the majority of the audience and seldom discussed in pre-match forecasts. She didn't make headlines. She wasn't the most popular. She was just another name in the draw to many who were watching. However, there was something savage hiding underneath that serene veneer. Work that took months to complete was done away from the spotlight. Lengthy training sessions in scorching heat. Studying opponents late at night while others slept. She resisted letting her doubts define who she was. Eala was born in the Philippines, a nation with a lot of passion for tennis, but less infrastructure than the established powerhouses. She was raised with the constant repetition of the same modest restrictions. Too small a stage, too few resources, and too far from the main tours. From there, players don't advance to the top. She was never enraged by their statements. They encouraged faith. She felt that she belonged on the same court as everyone else, not that she would shock the world. She was suddenly standing opposite from the personification of everything she had been told she couldn't become under the dazzling lights. One story was conveyed by the betting lines. One commenter told another. A simple victory. A good golf test. Eala had a worthwhile experience. However, there was something clearly visible in Alex's eyes when she moved to the baseline for warm-up. Pure and unadulterated, without nerves, enthusiasm, or emphasis. Her coach leaned down to whisper something that only she could hear from her corner. Disregard her identity. Recall your identity. It wasn't guidance. Ignition was the cause. As they waited for Gauff's signature intensity to start the battle, the audience whispered. The cameras flashed. Reporters scribbled. Eala then quickly and cleanly sliced the box's edge with her first serve. Like thunder, the sound erupted throughout the arena. Even Gauff took a half-second longer pause than normal. Nobody was prepared to believe the story that was revealed in that first game. I did not respond to Gauff's cadence. It was dictated by her. Every rally felt deliberate. Every motion was measured. She took the ball early, easily changed direction, and made Gauff play one step quicker than she desired. The audience, accustomed to applauding Gauff's supremacy, started to notice an unexpected presence. Uncertainty. Eala simply reset and went back to position after winning points. She didn't celebrate, pump her fist, or look at her box. Fans of the season recognized the look right away. It was control, not conceit or fear. And every underappreciated moment in her career, every competition in which she was simply another early round name, existed inside that control. There was still hope in the stands for a golf comeback as the opening set progressed. It did so every time. Her legend included resilience. But a whisper got louder with each game that went by. This girl, who is she? The audience's reaction when Eala broke serve for the first time wasn't courteous. It was taken aback. Her victories weren't ostentatious. In their simplicity, they were brutal. Tight angles, deep returns, and no motion waste. She didn't grin. She didn't rejoice. She carried out the execution. The fierce and ferocious Coco Gauff appeared human all of a sudden. And at that precise moment, women's tennis seemed to be slightly out of balance. The rally that altered everything then took place. 41 shots. A test of belief, legs, and lungs. Gauff tried to impose herself and remind the court of her identity by using her trademark power. Eala took it all in. The audience was enthralled with backhand to backhand, forehand to forehand, and cross-court exchanges. The suspense increased with every shot. Eala then anticipated the angle, stepped inside the baseline, and smashed a forehand down the line so cleanly that it painted the edge. The uproar was broken by the umpire's call. Eala is the game. Gauff froze. The crowd erupted. Not only did that point win a game, the match broke open as a result. Uncertainty appeared on Gauff's face for the first time. In an attempt to find comfort, she looked at her box. Her coach applauded, but the moment was betrayed by his countenance. The plan did not include this. Meanwhile, she gently made her way to her chair, sipped some water, and looked straight ahead. Commentators rushed to provide an explanation. Perhaps Gauff is getting used to it. She is acting out in her head. The truth was what they had yet to witness. It wasn't a hot streak. It was an opportunity for a preparedness meeting. I had spent a lot of time studying golf. She was aware of the location of the pressure. She didn't carelessly pursue winners. She held out. She made herself take more shots. She tightened the angles till the space vanished. The crowd started to change. With each victory, the murmurs get louder. Frustration eventually erupted at 4-1. Gauff blasted the ball in the direction of the net post after missing a standard backhand. The arena fell silent once the umpire issued a warning. Eala remained silent. After adjusting her wristband, she made her way to the baseline. The true narrative was revealed in that moment. This was no longer only skill. It was psychology. Eala grew colder the more Gauff attempted to ignite herself. The rest of the set's games went by quickly. Returns that appeared effortless and had a deep, hefty movement. And phones appeared across the stands when Eala broke once more. People were no longer only observing. They were recording the past. The story dramatically changed after the first set finished 6-1. In the commentary booth, words like brutal and domineering took the place of cautious hope. Eala didn't smile, though. She was aware of something crucial. The game was still ongoing. The following test was the actual one. The atmosphere in the arena had entirely changed at the beginning of the second set. What had started out as a Coco Gauff-friendly audience had turned into something agitated, intense, and erratic. There was disbelief in every point. Each rally felt more intense than the previous one. With the same look that had been on her face since the first serve, Alex Eala returned to the court. Calm, unintelligible, confined. She played as though the scoreboard didn't exist even though she was ahead by a set. Confidence has been replaced with control, and when control is used flawlessly, it can be hazardous. This was a non-screaming kind of dominance. It whispers, yet for some reason it sounds louder. Gauff made an instant attempt to reset. Lengthier pauses between points, deeper breathes, and slower motions. That's what champions do. When momentum falters, they reach into experience.
It worked for a short while.
A good serve. A victory with a crisp forehand. The audience let out a yell, yearning for comfort, and for the story to resume as usual. Gauff urged the spectators to stick with her as she raised her fist and fed off the commotion. Eala, however, did not blink. She served wide, dragged Gauff off the court, and ended with a forehand into the open area on the very next point. 9 seconds. That was all it took to close the door once more. The crowd's gasp spoke it all. Not only was the score line unnerving, but so was the contrast. One player is controlling time, while the other is chasing rhythm. Eala has accurate and economical footwork. She wasn't in a hurry. She didn't hesitate. She was getting to the precise location that the ball required. Later, to illustrate what was going on, analysts would cite champions' tennis statistics. Return depth, initial strike effectiveness, and rally tolerance. However, the emotional impact of what spectators were witnessing was beyond the scope of numbers. This went beyond simple tactical supremacy. This was a case of belief triumphing over reputation. After a rare prolonged rally victory, Gauff finally let out a yell at 2-0. She practically demanded energy as she swung her arms, encouraging the throng to get louder. There was a thundering response. It seemed as though the tide would change for a heartbeat. Tennis has always enjoyed a return. Eala, however, remained silent in response. There was no celebration, no response, just another calm stroll back to the baseline, another deep return, and another forced error. The arena was affected in some way by the silence. It changed allegiance. From the upper stands, a quiet murmur started. Eala was apprehensive and uncertain at first, but it developed. Gauff, I noticed. It was evident in her shoulders. In the middle of the game, social media went crazy. Timelines were overflowing with clips. Forehands with slow motion. Side-by-side responses. Tweets that cast doubt on reality. Eala, who is Alex? How is this taking place? Her name started to trend along with champion tennis statistics. Numbers began to circulate as analysts attempted to contextualize the devastation taking place in real time. Brutal return games, a high first serve rate, and few unintentional mistakes. However, no panel displayed the most compelling statistic. Gauff's body language provided the clue. Her expression clenched with each lost chance. Each mistake persisted longer than normal. The frustration erupted once more at 4-1. Gauff faltered twice. The audience moaned. She closed her eyes and cocked her head back, trying to gather herself. Eala delivered an ace straight down the middle after bouncing the ball 3 times across the net in the same rhythm as before. The eruption happened right away. Cameras cut to the crowd's startled expressions. Nobody rejoiced in Eala's player box. With their hands clasped and their eyes locked, they remained still. The rest of the world was only starting to understand